May in Alaska is an amazing time. It's fully awake after the long winter night. By the middle of the month, you will enjoy 17 hours of daylight. The temperature may get into the 60s, but in the mountains, winter does not give up so easily. There is enough snow to make happy the downhill skiers. Alaska is one of the rare places on our planet where you may watch sea life in the natural environment. And May is the right time to see whales feeding. Later, some of the whales, gray whales, will migrate to the Hawaiian Islands where they will procreate. As the local guides say, Alaska is the kitchen and Hawaii is the bedroom. May is considered to be the early season for tourists, but the wildlife centers are open, welcoming their visitors, as well as the numerous sled dog kennels. It's my favorite time to visit Alaska, and I invite you to join our trip around the Kenai Peninsula. Every tourist has their own dream list of what to see in Alaska, and for the majority of travelers, the Kenai Peninsula is definitely on their must see list. Rent a car in Anchorage and let's drive to our first destination, the town of Houma. This charming seaside town is located on Ketchimat Bay, 200 miles away from Anchorage. Houma is nicknamed as the place where the land ends. The proximity of Houma to the ocean makes the weather unpredictable, and occasionally you may have a rainy day. A gloomy day at the ocean brought a mystic element to our trip and made us believe that indeed we really had reached the end of the world. Houma is also known as the halibut fishing capital of the world. You will never ever remain hungry in Houma. The fish sandwiches and clam chowders are beyond expectations.
Yum yum.
One of Homer's best attractions is the opportunity to see bald eagles. They are everywhere. But to make a good picture or video of them, now this is another story. Not far away from Homa, we found several villages of the Russian Old Believers. In May, they opened their tourist business, and if you're lucky to find a tiny village, you will have a chance to taste a Russian lunch.
Зовут меня Нина Константиновна Фефилова. Я живу в Николаевске на Аляске. Это русская деревня староверная.
It was so strange to meet an old lady in almost nowhere who spoke Russian and even made Russian food for us. America is a very young country. We have what, 250 years of history? But when you come to Alaska, you will find a lot of historical places. And one of them is this village, the village where you will still find the old Russian believers. The history of the Russian Old Believers is the most dramatic example of the time when people were segregated by their disagreement with the official religious practice. It happened in 1667 when the leaders of the Russian Orthodox Church rewrote some liturgy prayers as well as some religious texts. Those believers who did not accept the new revisions were named later as the Old Believers. To avoid repressions and executions, all believers escaped from the mainland of Russia and settled in Alaska. Alaska, as you know, was purchased for $7.2 million from the Russian government in 1867. Alaska, that's how Russians pronounce it. Some historians believe that the word Alaska means the Great Land. And it surely is. There is so much more to explore as we continued our journey. From Homer, we drove to another charming town, Seward, which is located on Resurrection Bay. In Seward, we took a boat ride to the glacier. The moment our boat cruised into the bay, we noticed a group of curious sea lions following us, but the humpback whale wasn't in a rush to pose in front of our cameras. He swam nearby, sighing heavily and obviously enjoying himself. We waited patiently, and our patience was rewarded.
See him just below the water.
Oh my
Deep breath.
Yes!
The whale watching tour promised us that we would see a variety of different sea life. They kept their word. A visit by the USA Coast Guard wasn't on our original schedule. The main reason the Coast Guard stopped our boat was to inspect the safety of the craft and be prepared to show an ID or passport because they're also checking for drug smugglers. After the officers made sure that our life jackets were fine and there were no drug smugglers on board, they wished us a good day and sped off as we continued on our trip to the glacier.
Here we go, look.
The day we stopped at the glacier, our small group of 7 people was the only group enjoying the majestic beauty of this natural wonder. Our captain, Nick, he's making our lunch right now, informed us that during the peak season in summer, the glacier tour is very popular and it's typical to see 5 or more tour boats reach the glacier at the same time. But this day, the boundless ocean and glacier belonged entirely to us. On the way back, we were lucky to spot a pack of orcas. These ocean predators belong to the dolphin family, but unlike dolphins, orcas have teeth. Instead of swallowing food, they grind it. A hungry predator orca may attack a dolphin, a whale, or any other sea creature, irrespective of the prey's size, and that is why orcas are named the killer whales. Do you know that a male orca may weigh up to 10,000 kilos, about 22,000 pounds, and his length may reach up to 7 meters, about 23 feet long? To see this giant animal so close in their natural environment was unforgettable. Returning to the pier, we said goodbye to our friendly captain to explore Seward by foot. Today, Seward has a population of a little bit over 2,000 residents, and it's still considered to be one of the biggest towns in Alaska. The town is named after William Seward, who directed the purchase of Alaska in 1867. 2 steps away from the city center in the local park on the bay, you will find the Sea Life Center, a private nonprofit research institute and a visitor attraction center. It opened in 1998. The main purpose of this organization is to rescue wounded and abandoned birds and all kinds of whales. One of the main donators and promoters who played a significant role in the establishment of the center was Walter Hickel, the governor of Alaska. He believed that nature restores the soul of man through its beauty and had a vision for all to gain an understanding of the ocean wildlife by personal contact with nature. Here in Seward, we experienced another beauty of nature, our first dog sledding adventure. In May, we were given a ride in a summer wagon instead of a winter sled. We were amazed by the strength and power of the dog sled team. Better hold on, they are fast. During our tour, besides the ride, we learned how the champion sled dogs are raised, trained, and taken care of.
So these guys, they're pretty comfortable in negative 10 to negative 20 degree weather, as well as 10 or 20 degrees above. So do that and kind of pull it up, make sure it's comfortable, and then kind of just go from there.
Sled dogs must be strong and healthy to participate in a race. They're not accustomed to eating dry food. Instead, these doggy athletes feast on a high-calorie stew consisting of raw meat, fat, and kibble mixed with hot water. We were so impressed with the dog sledding tour in Seward that we decided to visit another kennel in Talkeetna. And we had a chance to talk with Della Seavey, a 5-time winner of the famous Iditarod race. The history of this legendary race goes back to 1925. In the winter of 1925, the city of Nome experienced an outbreak of diphtheria. The entire town of 1,400 people were at risk of dying from this disease. The closest railway station was located 700 miles away. It was too cold for planes to fly, and the port into Nome was icebound. The only solution to deliver the life-saving serum was by dog sled. Later, this race was named Serum Run. It was a race to save lives. Since 1975, the race runs in March for 1,000 miles from Anchorage to Nome. The Musha and a team of 14 dogs cover this distance across the frozen tundra, normally between 8 to 15 days. Dallas told us that the dog's safety is the #1 priority. A Musha usually sleeps 2 to 4 hours a day during the race because he has to take care for his dogs along the entire 1,000-mile route. Just imagine feeding 14 dogs several times a day with warm stew in the snowy tundra when the temperature is way below freezing. For Alaskans, the Iditarod race is not just some sort of winter entertainment. It's a reminder about the heroic people and their sled dogs who saved people's lives. It's some kind of invisible thread that binds today's generation with their ancestors. We just finished our sled dog tour. Loved it. Loved it. It's a must.
Guys, if you love nature, if you love dogs, if you want to learn something new, if you want to do something you've never done before, this is definitely a place to go. Don't hesitate to make a reservation because you will have so much fun.
We had a lot of fun and it was a very educational tour. We learned a lot about sled dogs. Staying in Talkeetna, we noticed that trees had gone from bare branches to fully covered with leaves. From our room, we viewed the majestic and ever-changing scenery of the mountains. Our room's window turned into a huge TV screen playing National Geographic 24 hours a day. It was the third week of May. It got dark after 11 p.m. and the sun rose around 4 a.m. So we had enough time to appreciate the natural beauty of the Denali Mountains. When you enjoy sunshine and good weather, it's hard to picture frozen tundra and never-ending cold nights. When we took an air tour from Talkeetna to the Denali Mountains with a landing on the glacier, we found ourselves in the land of endless snow. Flying over the mountains and valleys, it is easy to comprehend the fact that Alaska is the largest USA state by area. The territory of Alaska is equal in size to the combined area of Texas, California, and Montana. We are leaving Talkeetna. Our next destination is Anchorage. We made a stop in Anchorage to visit the Alaska Zoo.
If you come to Anchorage, do not miss an opportunity to stop at the zoo. It's an amazing place. It's very small, and we thought that we would spend here an hour the most. We've been here already for 3 hours and we do not want to leave. The collection of the animals, the collection is amazing, and the animals look so happy and pleasantly plump.
It is a non-profit organization which provides a home for abandoned and injured animals. Look at these bears. All of them lost their mothers when they were cubs. They were too little to learn survival skills from an adult bear, and although they grew up strong and healthy, they will not be able to survive on their own in the wild. They just woke up after their winter rest and they still look a little bit sleepy. So if you like our little brothers with tails and whiskers, the Alaska Zoo is the right place to visit to enjoy the furry cuties and a sunny May afternoon.
But there she is, chewing on her salmon. Salmon popsicle. Who doesn't love a salmon popsicle? Refreshing. Has she ever tried to escape? Not that I'm aware of. No, she's pretty happy here. She gets a lot of interaction with her zookeeper friends. They give her puzzles and toys to play with. She's got lots of different rooms to explore. So I don't think she's ever tried to escape.
Within an hour drive from Anchorage, nearby the tiny town of Girdwood, you will find another fascinating animal rescue place, Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Like the Alaska Zoo, the center provides refuge for animals who cannot survive in the wild. Bears, white wolves, moose, buffaloes, all of them are loved by the caretakers and the visitors. All 3 brown bears were rescued when they were cubs. In 2016, the largest brown bear, his name is JB, was 12 years old, and the center's veterinarians measured his weight and size. That year, his standing height was 8 feet. His weight was 950 pounds, and his front claws were 4 inches long. The vet agreed that JB is one healthy big boy. We finished our trip in Girdwood, our last day at Alaska Hotel. Surrounded by woods and snow-capped mountain peaks, the hotel looked like a fairy tale castle still asleep under its magic winter spell. It is very quiet here at the hotel during the last week of May. The first week of June is the beginning of the summer season and the time of the tourist invasion of Alaska. As our last stop, we took time to rest and reflect on our amazing trip. We were exhausted, in a good way. May is a magical month for exploring Alaska and Kenai Peninsula. Beautiful weather with 17 hours of daylight. Out of 14 days, we only had 2 rainy days, one in Houma and one in Girdwood. We hardly noticed the rain. It didn't spoil a minute of our trip because Alaska is unforgettable in every way. If you enjoyed this video, please support my channel by clicking on the like button and subscribe to my Greedy Travel blog to get more information about travel destinations and hotel reviews. Thank you for watching today. Until next time.